How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Nun Hey, Daf 55 of Daf Nun Vav, Daf 56 of Masechta Sanhedrin, friends. Well, we're gonna start. Okay. Azoy. Alright, what are we getting up to? Azoy. Okay. So today we're gonna start with a new Mishnah. It talks about Megadef, talking about a blasphemer. A blasphemer. And we're going to talk about a blasphemer. What else? And we're going to get in about halfway through the daf. We're going to get into Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. Isn't that interesting? Everybody's always heard of the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach, the 7 Noahide laws. So we're going to start discussing those, and that's going to be the focus of our discussion for a little bit. Alright, I'm going to drink a little more coffee. Alright, here we go. So, we're going to start with the Mishnah all the way at the bottom of Daf Nun Hey Amud Beis. Zogt the Mishnah. Hamagadef, a blasphemer. Inei chayav ad she'ifarish ha-shem. Okay. So, he's only chayav if he, what does Rashi say? She yizkor Hashem aval imlo hotzish. Okay, that he has to say the Shem Hashem. The Gemara is going to also talk a little bit exactly how it works. Also, the Mishnah is about to say a little bit how it works. Basically, a blasphemer who curses the Rebbeinu Shalom. So he has to say Hashem's name. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha says b'chol yom darnas ha'edim b'kinui, that when the judges are interrogating the witnesses and discussing with the witnesses and understanding from the witnesses what happened, the witnesses during this time do not actually say the Shem Hashem, right? We don't want kilu, that one person curses God and then the witnesses keep on repeating what he says. No, rather, they use like a replacement for the Shem Hashem. Yake Yesi as Yesi, right? So, as the first line of the Gemara is going to say, I'm just going to skip to the first line of the Gemara just very briefly, then we'll come back to the Mishnah. Tana Shivarch Shem B'Shem. That's it. That, be'etzim, you have to, the way that it works is you have to curse God's name with God's name, right? So, and the Gemara gives, and the Mishnah gives an example, Yake Yosi as Yosi. That Yosi is like a stand-in, is a replacement for Yudke Vavke. So if he says like Yake Yosi as Yosi, as if Kilu Yudke Vavke. So that would be blaspheming. And during the interrogation of the witnesses, we don't have them actually say what the blasphemer actually said, because that would be we don't want them repeating it. So we replace the actual Shem Hashem that they heard with a replacement, and the Gemara and the Mishnah gives as an example. For example, Yake Yosi es Yosi, right? Yosi is 4 letters as a replacement for the Yud Ke Vav Ke. But now Nigmar Adin. But now, okay, so that's acceptable, to proceed, for the court proceeding. So basically, apparently somebody blasphemed, and witnesses come, and the witnesses are interrogated. During that process, they don't actually say Shem Hashem. They use a replacement name, a substitute name. But then, Nigmar Adin, if the verdict comes and it looks like this person is guilty of the crime of blaspheming, so then lo ayu argin bechinoi. Well, then sort of the replacement, Yake Yosi as Yosi, is insufficient to kill somebody without actually hearing what he actually said. Elamatziin kol adam lachutz, we remove everybody from the Bezdin, and then we leave the witnesses there, and she'alin es hagadol shebenein, we ask the greatest of the witnesses, ve'omrim lo, we say to him, emer masha shamaita beferish, and at that point they say, okay, look, we need to actually hear exactly what you heard. Vu'omer, and he says exactly what he heard. Ve'adayonin omdin araglein, and the judges stand up. V'kurin, and they render their garments. V'loy maichin, and they never unrender them. They never, rend. They rend their garments, and they never fix it. They leave it rent forever, or rended, or ripped, or whatever. Vasheni Omer, and then the second witness does not repeat the curse. Rather, he says, Afani Kamoyu. The second witness says, yep, I heard the same thing. Vashlishi Omer, Afani Kamoyu. And if there's a third witness, the third witness also says, yep, that's exactly what I heard as well. It's the morning. I don't even know what time. It's 4 in the morning. That's what time it is. 4 in the morning. I have coffee over here. I'm going to chap a shtickle coffee. Chaim. Azoy. Okay. So now says the Gemara, we already read these first few words. Tana at shivarach shem b'shem. That blaspheming is, you got to curse God's name with another one with God's name. And as the Mishnah had described for us, for example, Yake Yosi as Yosi. Okay. Minane mile. How do we know this? Wait, sorry. Excuse me 1 second. Alright. Great. Minane mile. How do we know that it has to be shem b'shem? Amar Shmuel says Shmuel, the Pasuk says V'nekev shem v'gomer b'nokvo shem you must. Right? The Pasuk says, I'm going to read the Pasuk, V'nokev shem Hashem most you must. Somebody who, it's going to be machlekes now about what nokev means, but the assumption is it means to curse. Somebody who curses God's name shall surely die. Rogam ikmuvoi kol ha'eda stone him. Kage koezach b'nokvo shem you must. So it then goes back and repeats Nachamol b'nokvo shem you must. So basically it says cursing God twice in that pasuk. So we learn that to mean that you curse God's name using God's name. Right? So again, the Amakra v'nokev shem v'gomer b'nokvo shem you must. Mimaydai nokev lishna debruchehu. Oh, how do we know that nokev means to curse? The Chsiv, as the pasuk says, by Bilam ma'ekov loikavoy kel. What can I curse? God has not cursed. So we see that kavod means to curse. Okay, so the pasuk said that if you curse God, you get stoned. So that's the punishment. Where is the warning? The pasuk says, Elokim loiskalel. Do not curse God. Vema mibariz hu. But maybe I'll suggest that kavod means to pierce. To pierce, like maybe it means if you see Yud Kei Vav Kei, don't take a dagger and stab the Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Chsiv is a says Vayikov Chor B'dalto, that he yikoved a hole in the door. So we see that it could be to pierce. And the warning would be from here that the pasuk says about was it Avodah Zarah? I think was it V'nitatzim b'chosem? Yeah. Okay, you have to destroy Avodah Zarah, and then it says right after that, Lo yisaisu kein Hashem Elokechem. Don't destroy the Shem Hashem. However, and that would mean by taking a dagger and stabbing the Shem Hashem. So maybe that's what it means. Maybe that's what it means. Maybe it doesn't. It's not talking about cursing God. Maybe it's talking about destroying the name of God. But Shem b'Shem v'leka. Yeah, but the thing is, we said that you need to be Shem b'Shem. So how are you gonna sort of stab one name of God with a name of God? Maybe you just take Shem Hashem, you write it on 2 pieces of paper, 2 separate pieces of paper, put one on top of the other, and stab both of them. Then wouldn't that be like Nokvo Shem b'Shem? Shem b'Shem. So ahu Nekev v'chozav v'nokev hu. No, that's not Nokev Shem b'Shem. It's you're being nokev one, and then you're being nokev the other, but you're not using one to be nokev the other. Okay, but maybe you etch the name of God into a dagger, and then you use that right into the tip of a dagger, and then you stab another Shem Hashem using that dagger etched with the Shem Hashem. So it's ki'ilu like you're stabbing one Shem Hashem with another Shem Hashem that's etched into the tip of the dagger. But a'u chorf the sakinu the kabaza. Yeah, but still, that is the it's not the Shem Hashem that's really piercing the other Shem Hashem. It's the sharp knife that's really doing the piercing. So ema parusha shmei hu. Okay, but maybe I'll suggest that it is to like parusha shmei to. I think it's actually unclear exactly what it means. Somehow to like explain or to verbalize, I don't know, somehow to feel a little bit too comfortable discussing the Shem Hashem. The Chsiv, as opposed to says, Vayikach Moshe v'Aharon es ha'anoshim ha'ela shenikvu b'shemis. That it says, that Moshe and Aaron took, I guess, the Nesiim, asher nikvu b'shemesh, that he described by their names. So therefore, right, nikvu means to describe. And the warning would be, as Hashem Elokecha tira, fear God. So kilu, fear God. Don't be too comfortable just kind of describing and discussing in detail Shem Hashem. So maybe that's what Binokvo Shem is talking about. So chadu bino shem b'shem veleka. Yeah, but still we need shem b'shem. What's the shem b'shem over here? V'odem more so havile azhoras esse, right? But it says es Hashem Elokecha tira. It's saying fear God. That's sort of the warning, but that's not it's not like es kim lo yisikalel, which is very explicit. Don't do this. That's a warning. But over here it says fear God. That's kind of positive. Azhoras esse lo yishma azhar, and a sort of positively framed warning is not explicit enough to be considered a warning. I'm going to drink more coffee. Alternatively, I will prove that Minokev Shem Hashem means to curse. The pasuk says Vayikov Vayikalo, that the pasuk says by the Megadef in the desert. It says, I'm going to read the pasuk. Vayikov ben Aisha Yisraelis es Hashem Vayikalel Vayiviu also Moshe v'Shem Imo Shlomus Bazdivri Lamate Don. So it says Vayikov and Vayikalel. We want to say what it means. That Vayikalel is explaining what Vayikov means. That what does Vayikov means? It means Vayikalel. Lememar denoikev klolohu, to say that nokev means curse. But Vidilma ad de'ova tarvayu. No, maybe nokev and kilel, or maybe they're taka two separate things. And what he did was he did two things, and that's why he got in trouble. Lo yisagadati nit tichsiv, because the pasuk says hotzes makalel, because when the makalel was taken out to be stoned, it says poshit take out the makalel. Lo ksiv hotzes ha nokev makalel. It doesn't say take out the nokever and the makaleler. No, it just says take out the makalel, meaning all he did was curse God, and therefore nokev and makalel adezel bezach shmamino chadahi. We see that it is the same thing. Givaldi. All right, I'm gonna drink a little more coffee. Come on, coffee, do your thing a little better. I need coffee to be like a sleep replacement. I need like, it'd be good if like each cup of coffee could replace like 4 hours of sleep. And therefore, all you need to do is just drink 2 cups of coffee, and it's like you slept 8 hours. And that's what we need. Let's go weiter. Tana Rabban on the Rabbi side. Ish. Well, which pasuk is this? This is Ish Ish ki yikala loikav nosacheto. Okay, so this is the pasuk by cursing God. Okay, blaspheming. So it says Tana Rabban on Ish. Matam lomer Ish Ish. How come it says Ish twice? Right? So it says Ish Ish ki yikala loikav nosacheto. How come it says Ish Ish? Isn't Ish just enough? The Rabbi says Oivdei Kechovim. Oh, to include the Oivdei Kechovim shemuzorin al birkas Hashem ki Yisrael, that Oivdei Kechovim are warned against blaspheming, just like the Yidden are. Ve'ein ne'rogen el b'sayif, but their punishment would be the sword, as opposed to a Yid, it would be a skila. But by the akum, by the Oivdei Kechovim, it is sayif. Shekol misa amur b'vnei noyach eino ela b'sayif. Because all of the b'nei noyach, their misa is b'sayif, is with the sword. And as we're going to see, and maybe we've seen already, that for the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei noyach, the punishment is always misa, right? And that's b'sayif. 1 second. The fact that Oivdei Kechovim are warned against blaspheming is learned from here, from Ish Ish, This is where it's learned from. Hashem, because Hashem, we're going to see later in a few minutes, towards the end of the daf, or really at the end of the daf, maybe or maybe really tomorrow's daf, whatever, not tomorrow's daf, the Amud Beis, later on in today's daf. The pasuk says by Adam Arishin. It says, "Vayitzava Hashem Elokim ala Adam leimer mikol eitz hagan echol torchel." Okay, the pasuk means that that the Rebbeinu Shalom says to Adam Arishin that he can eat from the trees of the of Gan Eden. The Gemara is going to learn out from every word or few words maybe in that pasuk another one of the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. And from the word Hashem, that's where we learn Zobirkas Hashem. That is that Hashem told Adam Arishin, told ultimately I guess the Bnei Noach, that don't blaspheme. So we see that from the word Hashem in that pasuk is where we learn that blaspheming is one of the Shev mitzvahs Bnei Noach. So why are we saying that it's learned from Ish ki yikala elokav? So Amar Yitzchak Nafcha says Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha lo nitzucha el l'rabas hakinuyin. So says Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha that what Ish ki yikala elokav v'nosacheto is teaching is also kinuyim. So meaning from the pasuk by Adam Rishon, I would just know Shem Hashem Mamash Yud Kei Vav Kei. What about any of the others, like Elokim? So is that including the Shev mitzvahs b'nei Noach? So says Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, yes, it is, because of Ish ki yikala elokav, the extra Ish is coming to include of the Kochavim by blaspheming, not just Shem Hashem, but also the Kinuyim. According to Rameir, the Tana that we learned in the Brayse, Ish ki yikala elokav v'nosachetoi. So the Pasuk says Ish who blasphemes is in trouble. Why does it have to say? How come we need this pasuk? If I look for Nemo, we already have a pasuk. V'noikev Shem Hashem mos yumos. That somebody who blasphemes shall surely die. So why do I need this pasuk of Ish ki yikala elokav v'nosachetoi? The Fishanemar v'noikev Shem yumos, v'noikev Shem mos yumos. Because since the pasuk says that Davka blaspheming Hashem, it says v'nokev Shem Hashem you must yochel lo yechayev ela al Shem HaMiyuchad b'vad. So maybe I'll only be chayev for the Shem HaMiyuchad, for Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? V'nokev Shem Hashem most you must Yud Kei Vav Kei. Minayin l'Rabbos kol hakinuyin. How do we know that also if you blaspheme with any of the others, any of the kinuyim? Talmud Omar Ish ki yikala elokav mikol makom divrei Meir, that a person who is mekalel, who blasphemes, and it doesn't say anything about specifically Shem HaMiyuchad, so kilu any Shem Hashem, even the kinuyim, so then you're going to be chayiv for that. And that was just learned out from Ish ki yikala elokav. What's Ish is also to bring of the kochavim into that as well. So we see that according to Reb Meir, of the kochavim are included in Ish. Okay. And by that they would be chayiv for blaspheming kinuyim. Whereas the Chacham say Hashem HaMiyuchad b'misa, whereas the Chacham say that by the Shem HaMiyuchad you chayiv misa, by the kinuyim be'azhara, but the kinuyim are only in azhara. It's just a warning. So when you chayiv misa for Yud Kei Vav Kei, but the kinuyim would just be a lav, and in terms of uvdei kochavim, they would not be chayiv at all for the kinuyim. Okay, fine. But according to Reb Meir, though, Ish is coming to include uvdei kochavim, the kinuyim, that they would be chayiv misa for that as well. Fligad Reb Meishe, and this argues on Reb Meishe, Damar Reb Meishe, ben Noach sheberich es Hashem b'kinuyim, that a ben Noach who curses Shem Hashem with the kinuyim, the Rabbanon chayiv. According to the rabbis, they would taka be chayiv. According to the Chacham, they would taka be chayiv. My time I'll come to Amar because the pasuk says kager ka'ezrach, because the pasuk says Which pasuk? Which pasuk am I thinking of? It says pasuk Aleph. V'nokev shem Hashem mos yumos rogam yigimu bo kol ha'eda kager ka'ezrach b'nok v'oshem. So ger ve'ezrach hu be'inon b'nok v'oshem. So davka by a ger ve'ezrach, davka by a yid, it's davka yud ke vav ke that you can be chayiv misa for. Aval ovdei kochavim afilu b'kinoi. That by an ovdei kochavim, even if it's just a kinoi, you'd be chayiv misa. Reb Meir, hai kager ka'ezrach ma'yavale. What does Reb Meir do with kager ka'ezrach? That there's something that would be specific for yidden. Ger ve'ezrach beskila aval ovdei kochavim b'sayiv. That ger, that a yid for blaspheming receives skila, whereas an ovdei kochavim would receive saif. That since, according to Meir, since it sounds like they're included for everything, right? Ish. We say that just like a yid is chayiv for Shem Hashem as well as the kinuyim, so too the ovdei kochavim. So I might think that they're exactly the same for everything, punishments as well. So kamash malon that no, kol ger ka'ezrach, only yidden get skila, but the ovdei kochavim would get saif. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha aliba de Rabbanon. Now according to Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, according to the Rabbanon, hai kager ka'ezrach ma'yavelei. What do you do with kager ka'ezrach? Right, because according to Reb Meisha, the Rabbanon learned kager ka'ezrach to say that only the yidden would be chayiv for would be potter for kinuyim, but the ovdei kochavim would be chayiv. Okay, so according to Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, according to Rabbanon, what do they do with kager ka'ezrach? Ger ve'ezrach hu deba'inan shem b'shem, aval ovdei kochavim lo ba'inan shem b'shem. That ger and ezrach, you need shem b'shem. That for a yid, it would have to be shem b'shem, whereas by the ovdei kochavim, it would not have to be shem b'shem. I guess even just blaspheming God's name, even without another God's name, they would be chayiv for that. Ish lamali. Now according to the Rabbanon, what do you do with ish? We said according to Reb Meir, it's to include ovdei kochavim b'kinuyim. According to the Rabbanon, what do I do with ish? Dibra Torah Kloshim B'nei Adam, the Torah was just speaking in the normal way, like ish. If I'm like talking to somebody, I might just say ish. It's just like a normal way to talk. Kloshim B'nei Adam, kind of like the slang. Ish. We should use that more often. Kloshim B'nei Adam, ish. Chevra, what should ish mean? Maybe it means like, yeah, I got you. You hear what I'm saying? Ish. I feel like ish could work for, yeah, ish. That would be awesome, yeah. Kloshim B'nei Adam, like the people say. Yeah, I'll just be talking and be like, ish. That's awesome. It could be like one of those like Yiddish filler words. Those Yiddish filler words, like azoy. Yeah, it's like basically azoy. Ish. Alright, ish. That's nice. Instead of azoy, just ish. There's something nice about Yiddish though. Wow, only Yidden can make up a language like Yiddish. It's just like one big krechts. Like everything in Yiddish, it just requires so much emotion, that language. That's a language that was developed by Yidden over 1,000 years in Poland. It's just one big krechts. Okay, Chevin, now we're getting up to the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. Tana Rabbanan, the Rabbi said, Sheva Mitzvahs, 7 mitzvahs. Nitztavu B'nei Noach, the Noahide people were commanded. Dinin, to set up courts, a judicial system. Ubirkas Hashem, no blaspheming. Avodah Zarah, no Avodah Zarah. Gilu Arayos, no Gilu Arayos. Ushvichus Domim, no murder. Vegezel, no theft. Ve'ever min hachai, no grabbing animal parts of live animals and eating them. You got to kill it first. Okay. Now, Reb Chanani ben Gamliel Omer. Reb Chanani ben Gamliel adds, Afal Adam min hachai, not just a limb from a live animal, but also the blood of a live animal you can't consume. Reb Chidke Omer, says Reb Chidke, Af al aseris, no castrating. Even Ben Noach can't castrate. Reb Shimon Omer says, Reb Shimon af al kishuf, even hocus pocus, witchcraft, magic. Reb Yossi says, Reb Yossi kol ha'omer beparshas kishuf, anything in the parsha of machshefers, Ben Noach muzar olav, a Ben Noach cannot do. As the pasuk says, ki motzei bicho, it will be found within you, ma'aver b'noi v'toi bo'esh, somebody who passes his son and his daughter through fire, kresim ksamim, types of magic, me'onein, was that like superstition? U'menachesh, maybe that's superstition? U'mechashef and machshefers, v'chover and stuff, v'shal over yedoni and more hocus pocus, v'dor shalamesim, somebody who like does stuff with corpses, v'gomer, u'v'glat te'evo sa'ele, and because of these abominable activities, Hashem Elokecha Moshosim Mipanecha, that is why the Rebbeinu Shalom is removing those nations from before you. So we see that they got punished by being driven out because they were machshefers. V'lo anosh elo imken is here, and the pasuk would only punish. The Torah would only punish if they were first warned. So Mele, they're warned against and being a machshefer or doing any of these things listed in the psukim. So we see that Bnei Noach also cannot be machshefers. Okay, Reb Luzer, Mrs. Reb Luzer, af ala kilayim. Also, Noahide people are not allowed to violate the laws of kilayim. Mutarin Bnei Noach lilbosh kilayim v'lezoya kilayim. Now, Bnei Noach would be permitted to wear kilayim, shatnis, and to plant like kilei akerim. What they're not allowed to do is to like make a mule, right? That's like a horse and a donkey. I think like you can't do that. Mix animals with akavas ilan, or to like graft a tree. Those things they would not be allowed to do. From where do we know the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach? And as I had said a few minutes back, that it's learned from the pasuk by Adam Arishin. Amar B'yechon Adam Akra. So the B'yechon the pasuk says, "Vayitzav Hashem Elokim alo Adam lemor mikol eitz hagan ochol tochel." And from that pasuk we learn out all the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. I'm going to drink a little bit more coffee. Okay, now. So now for the perish of the pasuk, Vayitzav Elo Adinin. And when it says Vayitzav, that's a reference to setting up courts. V'cheinu Omer, and similarly it says Ki Yedaitiv, that the Rebbeinu Shalom says by Avraham Avinu that Enorm Leman Asher Yitzave Es Bonav V'Gemer. So it says Asher Yitzave Tzav, and it says in the continuation of the pasuk, Yitzave Es Bonav Es Beis Ha'achar V'Shomu Derech Hashem La'asus Tztoku Mishpit. To do mishpat, to do courts. Hashem, Zobekis Hashem, when it says Hashem, it's referring to blaspheming. And similarly, the pasuk is V'nokev Shem Hashem Mos Yumas. By blaspheming, it says V'nokev Shem Hashem. So Hashem is referring to blaspheming. Elokim, so Avedes Kichovim. Elokim is a reference to Avedes Kichovim. V'cheinu Omer Lo Yeh Lecha Elohim Acherim. So don't have other gods. So that's Avodah Zarah. Ala Adam, so Shvichus Dam. Ala Adam is referring to Shvichus Dam. V'chein Omer, someone says Shoifech Dam Adam v'Gomer. Right, by murder says Shoifech Dam Adam. Leimar Zogilei Arayis. Leimar is Gilei Arayis. V'chein Omer, similarly it says Leimar Henishalach Ishas Ishto v'Alcha Meito v'Aisel Ish Acher. So you see by Gilei Arayis it says Leimar. Mikol Eitz Agan v'Lo Gazel. You can eat from the trees of the garden of the Eden, but that's what you're allowed to eat. You can't steal. Anything else would be considered theft. You can only eat, once it's no longer alive and permitted to eat, but not when it's still alive. I think maybe I'll have a stick more coffee. 1 second. Okay. Now, Ki also Rabbi Yitzchok, when Rabbi Yitzchok came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel Tani Ipcho, he learned Fakert, at least with the two of them. By Yitzav, Yitzav is not talking about courts, rather Zoy Avodas Kochavim. That's a reference to Avodas Kochavim, and Elokim is not a reference to Avodas Kochavim. Zodinun, Zodinin, that is a reference to courts. B'shlom Elokim Zodinin. I understand why Elokim would be courts. Right? It says by we generally assume that this is talking about Moed b'Miksas, and it says that they'll go to a court. Elohim there is a reference to court. So I understand why you would say that Elokim is Dinin. My mashma, but why would we assume that by Yitzav is a reference to Avodah Zarah? So we have two psukim, one from Rav Yitzchok, one from Rav Yitzchok by Avdimi. Chad Omar Soru Moyer Min Aderech. It says by the Cheta Egel, it says that the Yidden have strayed very quickly from the way. Asher Tzivi Sim Tzav, that I commanded them. Osuloim V'gomer, they made an Egel. So we see by Avodah Zarah Vayitzav. V'chad Omar, and the other one says Oshuk Ephraim Ritzutz Mishpat Ki Hoyel Holach Acharei Tzav. That is saying that the Yidden went after Tzav, the Tzivoy of the Avodah Zarah people. So there also Tzav is a reference to Avodah Zarah. My Benayu, what's the nafkamina between the two psukim? Ika Benayu Akum She'osa Avodah Zarah V'lo Yishtach V'lo. The nafkamina is, what if an Akum made a getchke but never actually bowed down to it? Would he be chayiv or not? L'manda Omer Osu Mishas Asiyah Michayiv. So according to the pasuk, right, from the Ego, right, Osu Loim Ezom Ego Matzecha, that already just making it enough would be chayiv. L'manda Omer Ki Hoyel Holach Ad Ozu Ba'asur. When it says the second pasuk, right, it says Ki Hoyel Holach Acharei Tzav, so it's only after Idavka worships the getchke. Would he be chayiv? Omer Rove says over me, Ikal L'manda Omer Akum Shosa Avodah Zarah V'lo Yishtach V'lo chayiv. Rove says, wait a second. Would anybody really say that an Akum who makes a getchke and doesn't bow down to it would be chayiv for that? For Tani, we learn about Akum. Then when it comes to Avdei Kochavim, Devarim shebezdin sheyisom emisin alein benoach muzar alein. Look, for something that bezdin, right, a yid would be killed for when it comes to Avodah Zarah, so then a benoach or ba'akum devarim, well, not necessarily about Avodah Zarah, but when it comes to bnei noach, when it comes to Avdei Kochavim, things that if a yid did them, the yid would be chayiv misa in bezdin. So benoach muzar alein, so benoach is not allowed to do them. Ein bezdin shoyso misan alein, but if bezdin shoyso would not execute for them. Ein benoach muzar alein, a benoach is not muzar. Kilu, if a yid would not be killed for it, so then it's okay for a benoach to do it. So limute mai, what is this? What is something that a yid is not executed for? And therefore, it's it's not allowed for a ben noach. Wouldn't it be making a getchke but not bowing down to it, that a yid would be potter, and therefore it would be okay for an akum? So my Papa says no, that's not what we're talking about. Gipuf v'nishuk. No, it's talking about hugging and kissing in Avodah Zarah. So a yid would not be executed for that, and that would not be an issue for a ben noach either. Gipuf v'nishuk demai. Now tell me more about hugging and kissing in Avodah Zarah, a getchke. Either mikidarka baktalu. If that's the way that you serve, that you worship, that you're meant to worship that particular getchke, and you know this particular getchke likes to be hugged and kissed, and you hugged and kissed it, well then of course you'd be chayiv. You served it, you worshipped it in the way it's meant to be worshipped. Rather no, if you hug and kiss a getchke when that isn't the way that you're supposed to worship it, well then an akum would be potter for that. Alright. But potentially I guess you'd be chayiv for making a getchke even if you don't serve it. Alright. Oh wow, I'm really trying to milk this coffee over here. There's not much left, but I'm just trying to take whatever small sips I can from whatever there is. Oh, okay, let's go weiter. Alright, where are we? Dinin, b'nei noach ifkud. Oh, so frag the Gemara, 1 sec. Is it really the case that b'nei noach are command that setting up courts is one of the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei noach? Ve'atanya, we learn in the Brayse, Eser mitzvahs nitztavu Yisrael b'moreh, that the Yidden were commanded 10 mitzvahs at Moreh. Now, right now, for me, when I'm recording, it's Parshas B'Shalach, which is when we have Moreh. And says the Gemara that 10 mitzvahs were commanded to Yidden at Moreh. Interesting. Gimel Moreh. Oh, interesting. Sheva shekiblu alein b'nei Noach, the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, as well as v'osifu alein, and then 3 more were added. Dinin v'Shabbos v'kibbud avayim, and those 3 are courts, Shabbos, and kibbud avayim. So we see that courts were in addition to the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Right? We're saying that 10 mitzvahs were commanded to the Yidden at Moreh, the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, plus Dinin, Shabbos, and kibbud avayim. So it sounds like Dinin is not one of the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. V'im Dinin, fine. Dinin, how do we know that Dinin were given to were commanded to the Yidden at Moreh? Dichsiv Shom Somlei Choik u'Mishpat. It says that by Moreh, it says there was Chok and Mishpat. Shabbos b'kibbud avayim dichsiv kasher tzivcha Hashem Elokecha. It says by Shabbos b'kibbud avayim, as God commanded you. V'amar Yehuda says Yehuda kasher tzivcha b'Moreh, as He commanded you in Moreh. So we see that those 3 mitzvahs were in addition to the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Amar Rav Nachman says Rav Nachman Rabbi Barvua le'nitzcha ela le'eda v'edin v'asoya. Enoch hinami says Rabbi Barvua that says Rav Nachman Rabbi Barvua that Dinin is one of the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Okay, so then what's the deal with Moreh? Why are we saying Dinin and Moreh? The halachis of that you need 23 judges by capital punishment, that you need witnesses, they need asra. Those were, that wasn't included in the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, and those details were added at Moreh. If that's the case, my vosif alein dinin, but that doesn't really shtim, because that would be more like hilchos dayonim, but not dinim. Dinim seems like a topic, like a whole sugya, a whole field, a whole focus. I don't know what the word I'm thinking of, but anyways, discipline. So Ella Omer Rav rather says Rav lo nitzcha ela dinei knossos. The dinim of knossos, those didn't exist until Moreh. Moreh came, so the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach don't include the dinei knossos, and dinei knossos were added at Moreh. But akati, but still meh. Vosifu bidinin mi ba'ilei. That's really meaning if we're saying that at Moreh dinin were added, it means the whole discipline of dinim. They were not there before, and now dinim were introduced. But if you say it's talking about dinei knossos, it's kilu, okay, we expanded the existing dinim. But it sounds like dinim were kind of initially implemented at Moreh. So rather says Bar Yaakov, okay, the chiddush of Moreh was that you have to, the chiddush was that the Yidden at Moreh were commanded that there needs to be batei dinin in every single city, in every single town, in every single city. Bnei Noach lo yifkud, but what do you mean? But what? So that was only the Yidden were commanded that at Moreh, but the Bnei Noach don't have to have a bezin in every city, in every town. That, or every state and every city, right? I think is Medina, which is probably bigger than a city. Okay, but basically you have to have lots of batei dinim, all these dinim, all the places that the people live. So just like the Yidden need to have batei dinim in all of the places that they live, so the same thing applies to Bnei Noach ochet. So it's not just that the Yidden were commanded at Moreh, but already Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach was shaykh. Elamai Rave, rather says Rave, Haitana Tanadve Menashe hu. So rather says Rave, you know what? This brisa where it says that dinin were added at Moreh and were not included in the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, you know whose opinion that is? It's the opinion of the Tanadve Menashe, who excludes dinin from the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, and they were added at Moreh according to them. Dimapik dach ba'il sach, he replaces dach, dinim, and birkas Hashem. I guess the chof is the chof and birkas Hashem. Ba'il sach, and instead swaps them with seris, castration, and chof is kilayim. Titanat ve'menashe, that it was taught in the Beis Medrash, it was taught by Tanat ve'menashe, I guess the Beis Medrash of Menashe. Shev mitzvahs nitzavu b'nei noyach, that the 7 mitzvahs were commanded to the Bnei Noach: avodah zarah, v'gilui arayos, u'shvichus dam, gezel v'ev menachai, seirus v'kilayim, and the outstanding ones are seirus and kilayim. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda, Adam Rishon le'nestave ela al avodah zarah bilvad. Says Rabbi Yehuda that Adam Rishon was only commanded against worshipping idols, against idol worship. Shenemar, as Basil says, vayitzav Hashem Elokim, that God says, I am the only Elokim, no others. Ala Adam. I'm sorry. Vayitzav Hashem Elokim ala Adam. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir Omer Afal Birkas Hashem. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir says he was also commanded against blaspheming, as it says, vayitzav Hashem Elokim ala Adam, kilu, I am Elokim, don't blaspheme me. Ve'yishorim al hadinim, those who also say also that he was commanded to set up courts, because right, Elohim could also refer to judges. Kiman azloha do amr of Yehuda Merav, like who does the statement of Yehuda Merav go like? Elokim oni lo yisikaleluni, I am God, do not curse me. Elokim oni lo yisimiruni, I am God, don't swap me out for any other gods and idols. Elokim oni yemaroi aleichem, I am God, my fear should be upon you, right? And don't sin and you'll get in trouble in court. Where am I? Kiman ki yeshomim. Who's that like? It's like the Yeshomim who says that, who adds on that Adam Rishon, in addition to being commanded against blaspheming and against avodah zarah, was also commanded to set up courts. Tanat ve'menashe. Now, Frek the Gemara, according to the Tanat ve'menashe, who says that the Shev mitzvahs b'nei Noach include kilayim and seirus instead of birkas Hashem, and what was the other one? Instead of birkas Hashem and dinin. Well, then where does he learn those from? Because if you learn it from the pasuk of Vayitzav Hashem Elokim ala Adam, etc., well then that pasuk we said includes birkas Hashem and dinim. And if you don't learn it out from the pasuk, well then how do you know the 7? So Kilutana Devei Menashe idarish vayitzav, if he learns out the Shev Mitzvahs B'nei Noach from the pasuk of Vayitzav Hashem Elokim, etc., afilu anachnami, well then it should be the 7 that we already listed and learned out from that pasuk. Iloi darish vayitzav, and if he doesn't dash in that pasuk, well then hani minole, well then please tell us more. How do you get? Where do you learn these Shev Mitzvahs from? So the olam loy darish. The Tana Devei Menashe does not learn out from the pasuk of Vayitzav. And rather, each one of the Shev Mitzvahs B'nei Noach are written in its own place, in different places. How do we know Avodah Zarah and Gilui Arayos are including the Shev Mitzvahs B'nei Noach? The pasuk says, it says by the Dor Mabul that Vatishoche Sa'aretz, that was their crime, that they were Vatishoche Sa'aretz. Whenever it says Ashchosa, it means Gilui Arayos and Avodah Zarah. Dvar Erev Shnemar Ki Hishchis Kol Basar is Darko. That Dvar Erev, because it says Ki Hishchis Kol Basar is Darko, right? Even I think animals were sleeping with other animals, other types. Avodah Chovim and Avodah Zarah D'chsiv Pentashchisun Vasisim V'Goymer. So Tashchisun is Avodah Zarah also. So therefore, when it says Vatishochis Artz V'nei Elokim, it means that they were involved in Gilui Arayos and Avodah Zarah, and that was clearly bad enough to warrant the flood. So we see that the Shev Mitzvahs, that the Bnei Noach are warned against it. Ve'idach, according to the initial, right, the one who learns from everything from Vayitzav. So what's the pshat with Ki Yishchis Kol Basar? Orchayu Duka Megale, that we're not learning out the Shev Mitzvahs B'nei Noach from that pasuk. Rather, it was just saying that the reason why, if you're wondering why the world was flooded and destroyed, is because Vatishochis Aretz. That's not the place where they were warned for the Shev Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. That comes from the pasuk of Vayitzav. Shvichus Domim. Where does Tanat Vei Menashe learn on Shvichus Domim? The Shev Mitzvahs B'nei Noach. D'chsiv Shoifech Dama Adam V'Goymer. that Shofich Dam Adam Adam Dam Yishafich. So there we go. That was said to the Bnei Noach that don't murder. Vidach Katlayu Hu Dukamigale. Whereas according to the one who learns that from Vayitzav, so and Shofich Dam Adam is just teaching the punishment for murder, which I think we're going to learn in a few days. That I think according to this though would be chenek. I think. Okay, fine. Anyways, yeah, I mean we just learned that all. I think we just learned that all the Shev Mitzvahs Bnei Noach, the Misa is Saif. There's another opinion that's chenek, and it learns out from this pasuk. So maybe that's what it's referring to. Gezel. How do we know that they can't steal? The pasuk says Ki Yerek Esev Nosati Lachem Es Kol. That the pasuk says by Noach after the flood, it says that like the grass, I gave you everything. Yeah, you can eat animals just like you can eat grass. Grass that's hefker, that grows everywhere, but not people's private gardens. That would be theft. Also, whereas the one who learns that from Vayitzav says no. The point of that pasuk is to teach that you can teach meat, that you can eat meat. You can eat meat just like you can eat grass. Avram and Achai. How did they learn? How does Tanakh learn Avram and Achai? Dichsiv ach basur benafshay domer le'sachelu. Right? Don't eat basur. Don't eat meat when it's still alive. Ve'idach, and the other one learns from Vayitzav. Aud mishay shrotzim also. That was coming to teach that shrotzim. There's no issue of Avram and Achai by shrotzim. Seirus. What is it now? Castration. Dichsiv shirtzu ba'aretz urevu ba. That that have babies. You can't have babies if you're castrating. That prevents having babies. Vidach livracha ba'alma. If you learn it from Vayitzav, that pasuk is talking about it's a bracha. God blessed Adam Rishon. Says shir tzu ba'aretz urevuba. Wait, where is this? Is this actually Bnei Noach? This was the Bnei Noach after the flood. Kilayim dichsiv me'oif lemineu. That it says that in the teva, that you took each. A male and female of each species alone, right? You didn't mix them. But if you learn it from Vayitzav, the reason why they had the male and female from the same species is just so that they would be comfortable with each other, so that they can keep each other company, but not to teach kilayim as part of the mitzvahs, Shev Mitzvahs Bnei Noach per se. Wow, Chaver, that was after Nunvav, Masechta Sanhedrin. We started learning. We got to a new Mishnah. We learned about blaspheming. We started learning about that. We saw Machlokes Rav Meir and the Chacham, and also Machlokes Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchok and Rav Meisha about how to understand the Machlokes Chacham and Rav Meir about Kinu, right? Shem Hashem and Kinuyim. How does it apply to Ovdei Kachavim? Then we got into the Sheva Mitzvahs Bnei Noach, of course, a very famous Gemara, and we started learning about those and about maybe other alternatives that would be included. Azoy, or really ish ish.